J Bro 123. Good evening. How are you? I'm just gonna check my audio quick on another computer. So if you hear echoing. Oh, there's nothing. I'm just gonna check. It was really quiet. Ethan! Finally, you've made it. Your mic is quiet. Finally, you've made it. Your mic is quiet. Ethan, is this your first youth tube? I think this is the first time you've jumped in. Good to have you here. Teely Cubed, how are you? Things going well? I didn't get a snack. Oh no. Wait, I'll be right back. I need snack. Hi, Jed. I got Zookies, Zooskits. They're animal crackers. I don't know why we have to be fancy with these Zooskits. Well, it's fun to say. Zooskit. Is it a lion? Is it a buffalo? I don't know. Psycho people eat animal crackers. I don't know if that's true or not. None of these crackers are identifiable. I don't know what this one is. Is it like a ram? Maybe? Maybe a ram? Llama? It might be. Ethan, you should revisit animal crackers. You know what? I will say, animal crackers on their own, at least these ones, rather dry, lacking a lot of flavor. So what we used to do with animal crackers is whatever frosting we had left over in the fridge, we dip the animal cracker in that. That's a good way. In milk. Yep, that would work. Deborah made donuts. So, I mean, we'll find out later, but I'll talk about the air fryer a little bit more tonight because it's revolutionized my life. But she made donuts in it, and then she made this frosting to go with them, and it was like hazelnut, like creamy frosting. It was delightful. It's just it didn't last very long. I was gonna say I could dunk these in that. That would be really good, but then I'd have to convince her to make more frosting. Could you imagine animal cracker emojis? They're just like real animals, except for just blobbier and no, just like yellow like these. Actually, it's kind of like the yellow face emojis. Okay, what does an air fryer do? We'll just get into it now. Sure. Okay, an air fryer is this magical device. Okay, what it does essentially is a lot of foods already have oil in them, like French fries that you buy from the freezer already have a lot of oil in them. The first thing that I made with the air fryer was homemade chicken fingers, which is a whole discussion on itself. Where do the chicken fingers come from? Chickens don't have fingers, obviously. But so when I made the chicken fingers, you take the chicken breast and you cut it into strips. You dip it in egg, and then you roll it in breadcrumbs. And before you roll it in the breadcrumbs, you mix the breadcrumbs with a little bit of oil, and then you throw it into the air fryer. The air fryer heats up that oil that's on the outside in the breading, and you have frying happening, and it gets to a certain temperature that it fries food without being submerged in oil. So it's just using the oil that's around it. So it's pretty cool. If you're familiar with the idea of the kids' toy, the Easy Bake Oven, same thing. It's basically the grown-up Easy Bake Oven. That's what I've decided. So I've made chicken fingers. I reheated pizza in it, which is awesome. I have I did French fries tonight. It's just awesome. I'm American anyway, so like I love the deep fried stuff. So this was a compromise between the Canadian lifestyle and the American me. So hey guys, welcome to YouthTube. It's good to be here with you guys. And really, I'm so glad that we could do this and be together. And even if I don't get to see your face, just to be able to know that you're there, chat with you in the comments. Ethan, it's true, we all miss your shenanigans, and we're glad that you're here tonight. if you're in the Discord server, take a selfie, post it in the general chat. I'll get on that right now. Let's see. There. That's a good one. And if you're not already in the Discord server, you got to get there. Tons of fun to be had. Hey, Jack, nice headphones, man. Those are gamer phones in there. Well played, my friend. Yeah, so take a photo, post it in there. I've got cords all over me. And yeah, that's so that I can see your face, because you get to look at me. So it's just nice to see you guys sometimes. Tell me something good in the chat. Go ahead, write down whatever's going on. Something good. Tell me something good. Something good that's going on in your life. Did you find a new pop band to listen to? Did your mom make donuts? Did you buy a new air fryer? I did. Changed my life. Ethan had a Cheemsburger. I don't know what that is. The world is not coming to an inevitable end. I mean, obviously it will, but I don't think this is it. This is the lamest ending ever. Farm sim money. Woot woot! That's cool. Is that it? Is that all the good things? There must be more. Y'all negative people. Search for the good in your life. Nope, nothing good. Oh man. Grind band. I'd be in it. See the guitars behind me? I'll play guitar. It'll be awesome. Okay, well, y'all don't have anything good going on in your life. Maybe tonight will be the good thing in your life. See how I turn that around? It's good, huh? Okay, let's play a game. We're going to play a game. It's going to be fun. Okay, is the following line from the book of Jeremiah or a Justin Bieber song? Ethan, I think you're going to do great at this game. You know all the Justin Bieber songs, right? Okay, so what you got to do, either write down, oh, there's a child sneaking around behind me. Did you see that? Mystical. Go. Okay, you got to either write Bible or Bieber, okay? So I'm going to read to you something, and it's going to be either from the Bible or it's going to be from the Bieber, okay? Everyone got it? Okay, here we go. Okay. I need to see your face. I need to look in your eyes through the storm and through the clouds. Now, admittedly, I've heard a couple of Justin Bieber songs. I have read the book Jeremiah a couple times. But these are hard. Okay. Ethan thinks this is the Bible. Kate thinks this is the Bible. Let a couple more people guess here. Bible. Kristen thinks it's the Bible. Lynn thinks it's the Bible. Okay, let's do the grand reveal. Here we go. Uh-oh. Oh, it was the Biebs. Come on, guys. Come on. Okay, next one. So tell me, why am I in tears? And this sounds like Bieber. Come on. It's got to be him, right? Is it Justin or Jeremiah? Bible or Bieber? What is it? So tell me, why am I in tears? Calm down, Kate. Calm down. Ethan, Beebs all the way. Caleb thinks this is the Bieber. Tell me, why am I in tears? Jeremiah or Justin? Bible or Bieber? Oh, Lynn, you're going to go with Jeremiah. Kristen saying it's the Bible. Caleb, you can't guess Ethan because that's not an option. Sorry. Kate, you think it's Bieber? Okay, let's find out. Oh, from the song Down to Earth. Interesting. So far, Bieber is getting it. Okay, so you're supposed to be keeping track of your points too, okay? So keep track of your points. I want to know who is the biggest Bible/Bieber fan, okay? 1 point, 1 point for every correct, no minus points, okay? All right. Do not believe them, although they may say nice things to you. Oh no, the spaghetti. Spaghetti. That's rough, man. Okay, Kristen thinks this is from the Bible. Ethan, it's not from both. Sorry, bud. Kate thinks this is from the Bible. Caleb thinks this is easy. Andrew thinks it's Jeremiah this time. Caleb is laughing uncontrollably. Lynn and Ethan and Jed both think it's the Bible. Let's find out who is this one. Ooh, it is Jeremiah. Now, some of you only guessed Jeremiah because the first two were the Bieber. You were just guessing. I know you. I know what's going on. Okay, every day I bring the sun around and sweep away the clouds. Just close your eyes and imagine Justin Bieber saying those words. Or maybe imagine reading those words out of the Bible. This will help. Okay? Every day I bring the sun around and sweep away the clouds. Caleb thinks it's Beater. Don't know who that is. Kristen says Bieber. Kate says Justin. Oh, Caleb. Okay, good. Corrected that with the Bieber. Andrew says it's the prophet. I almost said the professor. That would have been cool. The boy Bieber. Teely Cubed says the beaver. Okay, let's find out. There's gonna be some sad people here, I think. Ooh, from the song "Somebody to Love," it was the Bieber. Okay, beware of your friends. Don't trust anyone in your clan. Now, okay, so the prophet Jeremiah is in the Old Testament. Lots of clans. Come on. Follow the clues. Kate, he was supposed to marry you. Maybe. Kate thinks this is from the Bible. Kristen says Bible. Ethan's going with the professor. Lynn is leaving, but her guess is the Bible. All right. Justin Bieber, don't write semicolons in his songs. Oh, man. Speaking of the professor. Okay, let's find out. Here we go. Oh, yeah. The semicolon definitely gave it away if the clan part didn't. Okay. My heart is broken within me. All my bones tremble. Ooh. That's serious. That's the Beebs. He might need to see a doctor. If it was Jeremiah, he probably also needs to see a doctor. Okay. Caleb doubts the Beeb says that. Kate thinks it's the Bible. Caleb says the Bebs. Kristen says the Bible. Ethan's raving about something. Teely Cubed said lever. I don't know what that's about. Sometimes I look away from the chat for too long and you guys go on a rabbit trail. That might be where what happened there. Ethan says the professor. Jed says the Bieber. Let's find out. Who is this? Ooh, it's the prophet. Jeremiah. Okay. I put my all into your hands. Here, my soul to keep. That's just romantic. That's what that is. Sounds like the Bieber to me. Kate, yeah, I think you're right. The Biebs. The JB man. The Jeremiah Bible man or the Justin Bieber man? Just got to clear it up. Bible, Bieber, Biebs. Ethan thinks it's definitely Mr. Bieber. I don't know. There's some weird stuff in the Bible. There's some weird stuff in Jeremiah. The teen J. Beeb. How old was Jeremiah? I don't know. He must have been older. I think he was older. I'm going to look that up once we're done here. Who is it? Oh, it's Justin. Of course. From the song Purpose. Who didn't know that? Okay. We'll do one more. You are my comforter in sorrow. You are my comforter in sorrow. Okay, I'm seeing Bible. Is the Beaver a Christian singer? You know, that's a good question. I've read some really interesting articles about Justin Bieber. It's so hard not to mess that up. Justin Bieber, about his like conversion story and how he's now a Christian and leading worship places. I don't know what's true, what's not. Just some stuff that I've read. I'm seeing Bible. Both. Teely Cubed, thinking it's both. Thinking I'm pulling a fast one. Bethany, you're forgiven and welcome. We're playing Bieber or Bible. The phrase on the screen, you are my comforter in sorrow. You're here just in time for the last one. Is it the Bible or Bieber? Bible or Bieber? Bing bang bosh. It is a lot of bees. There be a lot of bees. Okay. Bethany says Bible. That's who I was waiting on. Let's find out. Ooh, Jeremiah 8:18. There you have it. All right. Tally it up. You guys were keeping score. Who won? Who got the most points? Who knows their Bible from their Bieber? That's fun to say. Who knows their Bible from their Bieber? Kate got 7. Wow. Impressive. Kristen got 6. 1 point, 1 question, no subtractions. That's right. You got 1 wrong. I don't remember how many questions I did either. Oh well. Ethan says he wins, so I mean, it's hard to argue with that. And Bethany did score 100%. So, sorry, guys. Okay, know the rules. The rules are important. We're so thankful for the rules. Okay, the rules are simple. The same rules apply online as do in person. Respect the leaders, respect the space, respect each other, respect yourself. And doing all of those things means keeping the chat on topic as best as you can. I understand there's going to be some times where we kind of rabbit trail. That's not okay, but it happens, and we'll be okay. So keep the chat on topic. If you have questions, by all means, ask those questions, and we'll get around to it. If you're not a part of Cornerstone Youth and you're just checking out this stream, that's awesome. We're happy to have you here. If you're in grade 6, 5, 4, whatever, 97, that's fine. But the chat, I would ask you not to take part in. That's for Cornerstone Youth people. Yeah, and we'll have a good time. We will. Okay. I think I had like one more thing. Oh, yes. Yes. I want to give a shout out to Amy Els. So a lot of you would know her because she's been coming out now for a little while. I think she's had like 3 in-person nights with us. And so that was your opportunity to actually like see her face to face, and then things went crazy in the world. And now we've been doing digital youth for 5-6 weeks or something like that. And so she was in a trial period, but her trial subscription to youth group leadership has expired, and she's now locked in, and there's no way of terminating the contract. So I want to see a lot of hand claps in the chat for Amy Els, our newest youth leader. And she's actually going to be bringing us the message tonight, our lesson. And so we're super excited about that. We're going to cut to a video, and then the next person you should see and hear will be Amy.
Hey guys, how is everyone doing this evening? We are together tonight for YouthTube, Cornerstone Youth, and we're starting a new series this week called Atypical. And what we're going to be looking at is atypical families. So maybe something that's outside the norm in size, structure, dynamic, whatever the case may be. Looking at those families and how God can still use them, even if they're maybe not considered to be that sort of normal or typical family. So I want to get started by asking you guys something in the chat, and that is, what shows about families are you most likely to watch? So they might be shows like On My Block, Black-ish, Modern Family, This Is Us, Fresh Off the Boat, Fuller House. Those are just some ideas. Let us know in the chat which kind of shows you might watch about families. I'm going to give you guys a second to send some shows in the comments or in the chat. Shows when the family's crazy, yes. That makes you feel normal. Okay, that's great. We're going to talk about that. Full House, but not Fuller House. I get that. Yeah. And certainly that family might be considered quite atypical. The Goldbergs. Ooh, okay. We have somebody who doesn't even watch TV. My goodness. Oh, another person. You guys, what do you watch? Oh, the Flintstones. Okay. Going way back. That one. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So, are there any celebrity families that you love or can relate to? Things like the Kardashians, Beyonce and Jay-Z's family, Chip and Joanna Gaines' family. There's a bunch like the Duck Dynasty family, the royal family, any families like that. Are there any celebrity families that you guys love or relate to? Ooh, and I see people are talking about the Jetsons still, but Kate is saying the Kardashians, hey? That's a family you can relate to. Okay. Any other families that people find they can relate to? None for Bethany. Keanu and his family is legit his motorcycles. Okay. Excellent. All right. So, would you say when you start to look around and you look at pop culture, some of the shows we've just talked about, some of the families we've talked about, would you say that you feel like your family is super normal, kind of normal, not normal, or totally not normal in comparison to those other families that you know about? How do you think your family would rate? I asked my kids this, and they said that we are kind of not normal. So it's not really any of the options, but that's how they felt about our family. Ooh, somebody likes Duck Dynasty. Yep. Kate feels like they're totally not normal. Okay. Anybody else feel like their family is somewhere on that scale between normal and not at all? Super normal? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got a bit of a variety there in responses. I think one of the things that we, yeah, and Andrew says he might be able to answer if he knew what a normal family was. So I think that's one of the things that where I was going next. So that's perfect. Is that the families we watch on TV, in movies, or that we even see around us aren't usually normal. Normal doesn't necessarily make for great entertainment, so we don't tend to notice it. We might see a normal family around us and kind of just pass by that. But as soon as we see something unique or interesting, it tends to pull us in a little bit more and we want to know more about it. And we as people tend to love that drama of watching stories of not normal families. But then when we think about ourselves and our own family, we tend to want that to be very normal. We don't want to stick out or stand out in a weird way. We want to not be known for something that could be perceived as bad or weird or whatever. And so if you have a not what you feel is a not so normal family, there's probably times you wish you looked a little bit more like families around you. Maybe you feel like you have too few or too many family members, or maybe you feel like your family's normal but quirky. Some people really love how their family is and how that feels to them, and some, sometimes maybe people think their family's too normal and you wish you were a little more interesting. I remember growing up, I always felt that way, that, my family was just a mom and a dad, a brother and a sister. Like it was, if you couldn't get more typical kind of, and it felt like it wasn't a really interesting story, right? Maybe you also feel like your family is normal on the outside, but what goes on in your home is not normal, or what goes on in your family dynamics maybe doesn't feel normal or functional in some way. So no matter what kind of family you have, I really hope that you guys take home one point tonight, if nothing else, and that is that your family and you are known and loved by God exactly the way you are, exactly where you are. So no matter what kind of family you have, no matter the people in it, the function or dysfunction that you feel like exists there, no matter how normal or atypical that family is, you and your family are known and loved by God. And to get back to the point a couple of you made in the chat, that no one actually has a normal family, and that's okay. We're all a bit different, and so maybe that is the norm then, that we're all that little bit different. But that's the important thing to take away, is that none of us have everything together. None of our families are perfect. We all have our stories, and that's okay. Okay. So right now, I want you guys to tell me something about your family, or about a way you think your family is not normal, or a way you feel like you're really normal. Maybe you wish something was different about your family, or you love a certain thing about your family. Tell me something about your family in the chat. And just to share a story while you guys are writing some responses, I asked my kids what was weird about our family, and they said that it was weird that we have a lot of pets, and that all of our pets, except for a few fish, are girls. So they thought that was very strange. Stefan's family is loud and hyper. That is true at points, I'm sure, with all those little people running around. Anybody else have something to share about your family? A thing you love, a thing you... Oh, Maddie says the same. When you hear chocolate frogs, what do you think of? Isn't that some kind of dessert cookie thing-ish? Kate loves that her family laughs about a lot of things, their humorous outlook on everything. That's awesome. Maddie's family likes Harry Potter, maybe? Maybe that's what that means. Andrew's family is very spread out. Okay, yeah, I can relate. We have a sister-in-law in Asia, and I'm sure Stefan can relate to that too, since his sister's there. We have a lot of... do we have families who feel like they're Harry Potter families? Is that what that means? Or do you like Harry Potter? Yeah, chocolate macaroons. That's what they're called. I forgot what they were. Unbaked cookies, I was going to call them. That's a New Brunswick thing, I think, Bethany. I don't know if it's everywhere, but that's where I first learned that they have different names. Is it New Brunswick, maybe? I can't remember. In Ontario, when I lived there, people were talking about that a lot. Yeah, see? Okay. New Brunswick, I guessed. And okay, so Ethan says the only thing different is that mom's mom lives with him. But you know what? I think that is really normal in certain cultures and certain places too, right? So, we could be atypical. And actually, when we moved here, everybody right near our house all was from Cape Breton, and they all had in-laws living with them, like parents. And I was like, oh, we don't fit here because we are not from Cape Breton and didn't have anybody else living with us. Andrew, you do know what they are, probably. They're like chocolate macaroons, like unbaked cookies that... Anyway, you do know what they are. When youth is back on, I'll bring the non-poisonous snack one evening, and it'll be chocolate frog / macaroons. Yeah. Okay. So to get back to the lessons, we've talked a little bit about some of the ways that our family, we maybe wish they were a little bit different, or one funny way maybe your family isn't normal. One thing I'm going to ask you about now is if any of you have heard of a TV series called Atypical. It's about a family that's perhaps not considered exactly normal. The son Sam in the what looks like a normal mom, dad, brother, sister family is an 18-year-old boy who has autism. And so Sam's family's built their whole life around Sam, about trying to keep his routine. I'm sorry, my kitty cat went in front of my notes. About how he needs to function, his space, all those kinds of things. And so as Sam grows up, he starts wanting independence. He wants to make his own decisions, and he wants a girlfriend. And so Sam goes through this journey towards figuring out who he is, and the rest of his family is there trying to figure out what that actually means. What does that look like for them to be a typical family? So at one point, Sam tells a friend, sometimes he wishes he was normal. Sometimes I wish I was normal, he says. His friend replies, well, dude, nobody's normal. And I think that's the other thing that you guys all need to kind of come to and recognize, is that when it comes to our families, all of us need to know nobody's normal. We all have our stories. We all have our stuff. You don't maybe hear about it, but each of us has something going on maybe in the background that makes us not normal, atypical. And no family is perfect. So even those families like the one on your screen, or like a family, like I said about mine growing up, mom, dad, a brother, sister, that that is not a picture perfect family. None of us have that. Okay. If you're anything like me, I'm betting that you've had a time, maybe even this past few weeks during the pandemic, where you thought, my family is so dysfunctional. My family doesn't get me. I wish I had so-and-so's family or this aspect of this person or whatever. We all wish sometimes that that our families could be different, that they could be a little bit more normal, a little bit, maybe less harsh, or a little bit more fun, those kinds of things. I know from my own experience growing up, I know there's stuff that a lot of people didn't know about my husband and I as we grew up. We look really normal from the outside. We're a mom, a dad, and 2 kids. We've gone through years, though, of trying to have a baby, of chronic illnesses, of losing a sibling along the way, and those kinds of things. Those are things that make our family maybe not normal, but those are also all things that God's used in our family, and He's used to grow us, and He's used to change the way we relate to one another and our dynamic. And so I would just encourage you to always think about the way maybe your family is not normal, but maybe there's something God wants to use about that. Okay. God can use even the most imperfect family to do good. And it may sound unlikely when you start thinking about your own family, but you know what? He can use even your family to do great things. So we're going to talk now about the very first family, Adam and Eve, who were the very first not so normal family. So we're looking right now at Genesis 2 and 3. I'm not going to read it all just because it is long, but I'm going to summarize it a little bit for you. So the creation of the world at this point was complete. God placed a man, Adam, in a garden, Eden, right? He placed the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil there, okay? And he said, eat everything in the garden that you want, but not the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat that fruit, you're going to die. Okay. God knew it wasn't good for man to be alone. So he made a helper for him, who we know as Eve. So now we have our first family, Adam and Eve in the garden. Okay, they were naked at that point, but they felt no shame. They were just free. They could just exist. They had everything they needed in this place, in this world where life was perfect. They didn't have to worry about money or a place to sleep, nothing. They just wake up, live, complete joy, peace, food, all of it is right there. That was life for Adam and Eve. And yet they were tempted by the serpent, and Eve ate the fruit that they were not supposed to eat. She convinced Adam, and all of a sudden their eyes were open. They were ashamed. And so as a result, they confessed to God about what happened, and God said there would be hostility among family. There's all these other consequences of their actions: pain in childbirth, difficulty working the land. You're ultimately going to die and return to dust. And God banished them from Eden. So he created this consequence as a result of their mistake. But you know what? Despite those mistakes, God did not leave the family hopeless. Okay? There was still hope. He was disappointed. There was consequences, but he still took care of them. And so that's the piece that we need to remember is, even if our family seemingly starts out with so much hope and promise, but a poor decision leads to something, pain, loss, a damaged relationship, we still have hope. God doesn't leave us alone. Okay? So at this point, Adam and Eve had left Eden and were moving forward. Their relationship with God was more distant because of their sin, but God didn't leave them. He didn't give up on them. So we're going to pick up the story now at Genesis 4, and this is where we look at, after leaving Eden, Adam and Eve had 2 sons named Cain and Abel. But their story, again, is not is not a happy one. So Eve gets pregnant with Cain first, then later she has his brother Abel. They grow up, and Abel becomes a shepherd. Cain is a farmer, essentially. He cultivated the ground. Okay. When it was time for the harvest, Cain presented some of his crops as a gift to the Lord. But Abel brought the best of his firstborn lambs from his flock. Okay. The Lord accepted Abel and his gift because it was the best of the best that he had to offer. But he didn't accept Cain and his gift. And so Cain was really angry about this. Okay. I'm sure we can all relate to times our brother, sister, mom, dad, whoever, made us super angry, right? So at this point, Cain is super angry. And he suggested that he and Abel go out in a field. And while they were there, Cain attacked and killed Abel. So as a result, God punished him as well by ensuring he would no longer produce good crops and be a homeless wanderer. He promised to punish anyone, though, who ever hurt Cain 7 times as much. And so that's an important thing to see, that while God's disappointed, while he's upset and he's lost a beloved child, he punishes the other child, but he doesn't leave them hopeless. Okay. Later in the chapter, we actually see that Eve gives birth to another son who she felt God had anointed to take the place of Abel, and she named him Seth. And so it's a really cool kind of redemption to that story as things go along. Okay. And yes, Cain and Abel is a very intense story, and one that maybe we sometimes don't think about as being super dramatic. But imagine a modern day TV show, right? Where there's two brothers, or even the parents first, right? They get kicked out of their place, and all of a sudden they have to find somewhere else to live. And then they have kids, and then one kid kills the other kid. You know, like imagine the drama and intrigue of that TV series for those who watch TV. So at this point, we see in the story that Cain was full of anger. He was full of hurt, jealousy, so much so that he killed his own brother and lied about it, okay, to God. Do you ever have those moments where you let your emotions get the best of you? It's pretty easy to do, especially with our family. I sometimes feel like, that the people it's most easy to kind of lose our temper with or lose our cool with is our family, because it's in many cases, it's a safe place, right? And so we can kind of just let loose with all the anger and rage we might feel, or all the frustration of the day kind of boils up and it ends up coming out at siblings or parents or spouses or kids, So I think Cain let his emotions drive him to do something terrible. His choice led to a consequence he had to bear for the rest of forever. But again, God didn't leave him hopeless, right? This is how God's relationship with humanity began. When the family story started with hope and promise, it turned to a story of failure, betrayal, jealousy, anger, tragedy. You might look at your own story and see some of those same things. And then you might think, can good possibly come from this? Can God use this? Can God use this story, our family, our imperfect mess? And you know what? The thing that you need to remember is their story and your own story is greater than your worst moments. Okay. Now, the next one of the next books in the Bible, I can't remember the order right now, has a lot of genealogies. There's other places, of course, too, throughout the Bible where there's genealogies. They sometimes can seem a little bit boring. They sometimes just seem like, okay, so-and-so is son of so-and-so, 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 and it just goes on and on and on, right? But the thing that you need to remember as you go through these is the significance of it. You can trace the story of Adam and Eve and their family for generations to come, right? And many, many years after Adam and Eve first disobeyed God, their son killed their brother, a new baby was added to that family tree. And this time it wasn't Seth. Down that family tree, that baby was named Jesus. And he one day would save all of us from our sins, right? He saves his people. And so the birth of Jesus was a fulfillment of that promise that God made to Adam and Eve way back in Genesis, that someday a child would come and crush evil forever. And he did. And so I'm going to read a piece now from Romans. It's a couple of verses, Romans 5, verse 18 to 21. So it says, yes, Adam's one sin brings condemnation for everyone, but Christ's one act of righteousness brings a right relationship with God and a new life for everyone. Because one person disobeyed God, many became sinners. But because one other person obeyed God, many will be made righteous. God's law was given so that the people could see how sinful they were. But as people sinned more and more, God's wonderful grace became more abundant. So just as sin ruled over all the people and brought them to death, now God's wonderful grace rules instead, giving us right standing with God, resulting in eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. So when we look back, that first family, they made some big mistakes, and we've been making big mistakes ever since. But where sin has increased, God's wonderful grace has become more abundant. Okay. God never gave up on Adam and Eve Eve's family. He's never giving up on your family. He's not giving up on my family. He is here despite our mistakes. He does not leave us or our families hopeless. Adam and Eve introduced sin into the world, and God still used their family to conquer sin forever through Jesus. Like, what a reminder that every single family, including those not so perfect families, can be used by God. So I want to ask now if you guys can take a minute to tell me, what is it that your family might have in common with Adam and Eve's family? How has God been good to your family? How could you see that God was good to Adam and Eve's family? How does your family need God's help? How can God use your family for good? Think about those questions. So you can think about it in terms of your family, which is how I wrote these questions, or you can think about it in terms of Adam and Eve, if that's easier for you. So how has God been good to your family? How do you need God's help? And how can God use your family? You might think about things in your family that feel imperfect, like your family structure, too few, too many parents, siblings, relatives. Maybe your home is a bit tense or distant. Maybe you feel like your family's rules or finances or health are not what you wish they were. There might be a loss, a tragedy, pain in the past that's still there for your family. Maybe you feel alone or unsupported in your faith when you're at home. Is there anything like that that you see in your family, or that you want to relate to the story of Adam and Eve and how God's been good to their family in the chat? I'll share just a little bit while you guys have a chance to write, and just about my family. And one of the things that is a bit weird, let's say, about my family is that I grew up with very Dutch grandparents, and they don't talk about feelings. That's just not a thing we do. And so even my own self growing up has a very loving father who has been wonderful to me my whole life, always takes care of me, those kinds of things. But I don't remember him saying he loved me for a really long time, like to the point that I was pretty much a grown up by the time he actually said those words to me, right? So that's something that, some people might consider atypical and would be very atypical for my own kids, who hear multiple times every day that they're loved, out loud. So there's things like that in every family, right? Does anybody have anything they want to share about your family, how God's been good to you, how your family needs God's help? I talked a little bit earlier about how we struggled for years to have children. And I mean, one of the ways God's been so good to us is that he finally brought us not one, but two daughters, right? So that's a pretty huge thing for me. And I hope that God can and has and continues to use, our experience in that to reach other families too who are feeling that turmoil. Okay, so maybe I'm not seeing it. Maybe nobody's sharing. That's okay. I'm going to keep talking then for a second. So other things, in our families might leave us feeling hurt, frustrated, hopeless, that kind of thing. It can be hard to see how good can come from that situation. But one of the things we need to do is just believe that God can do big things through us and our families. Think about how he can turn our atypical story into something about God's goodness and grace, something about how much he cares for us and his children. Your job is not to fix your family. You can't do that. And your job is just to be open to God using you and your family in whatever way he wants to. Your role might be small, but it could have a big impact. Or maybe your role is huge in it. Maybe you're the catalyst for that change. But it's about being willing and available for God to work in you to use that. Maybe God's calling your family tonight to be even more atypical than they already are. Maybe there's something that's a bit weird about your family, but God's asking you to grow that to be used for somebody. Atypical families can invite God to take their imperfections, their problems, their struggles, and use them for good. So, sorry, I have a kitty cat sitting in front of my screen. So not so typical families are often used by God. That's our summary point for tonight. Yours can be too. If you feel like sharing, how might God be able to use your family's imperfections for good? What's one way you're going to let God use you for good in your family? Maybe there's somebody you need to have a reconciliation with, or we've got lots of time. We're at home now with the quarantine, maybe there's something God's trying to do in your family, and you just need to be open to letting him do that. So I'm going to have a quick word of prayer. If Stefan wants to pray, he can pray again later. And then we'll flip back over to him in a minute. So, and before I do that, I do just want to say thank you guys for welcoming me as a new leader to your group. I'm glad you guys have trusted me and let me into your space. So thank you for that. So, dear Lord, I just thank you for each of the youth gathered here tonight and those who will watch this later. I just pray, God, that you would show them how their family maybe is a bit atypical if they don't know, and how you can use that for your greater good, for their story, for the kingdom. And so, God, I just pray for any prayer requests that are on the hearts of the youth here tonight. I just pray that you would be with them all, let them know they're loved, and show them how you can use them and their family for you. In Jesus' name, thank you and amen.
Thanks so much, Amy. That was great.
No problem. Awesome.
What are you 3D printing?
Is it okay if I answer out loud?
Yes.
Is this like the ask me anything portion of the evening?
Yes.
So my husband, I didn't know you guys could see that. It wasn't really clear to me at first. He is 3D printing. Okay, so I have to tell you guys one more weird fact about our family that I didn't share yet, and that is that my kids think we talk too much and focus too much on money, because I have a blog about money and how we can use it better as people generally, and like
Right.
It's something we're into. So my husband started printing off these 3D mask things that like help your ears. I think Stefan, your family got some actually through Den from us, or maybe, yeah. Okay. So he's been printing those and giving them away for like medical people here in like the local area. But then he also decided to like put an ad up on Etsy, is that what it's called? Where there's handmade stuff. And so now like he's getting all these orders and he's like, I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, soon you can quit your job and just 3D print stuff all the time. But then his 3D printer wasn't working and he had to get them out. So tonight he came in before I started and was like, I have to get this set up and going so it could print while I was in here. Because this is his space, by the way. That's his guitar. I'm not a guitar person. And his,
so
gigantic fish tank.
Oh, that's awesome. At one point, yeah, the spool in the background was slowly spooling. I'm like,
sorry,
is that supposed to happen, or is that a cat, and is that about to fall off?
There was a cat who kept sitting square between my two monitors, like right where the chat is and my notes were, not where either the videos are, but in the middle of the chat and notes. That's so right. The two sections I need to see, that's where she planted her butt. Yeah.
That's just like a
okay,
cat.
Sorry. Right? Okay, back to you, Stefan.
No, you covered everything. I was going to close in prayer, but you did that, and no, okay. You did great. Thanks so much for sharing all the things that you did share, and thanks for jumping in as a leader. We're super grateful for you doing that. And thanks for everyone jumping into the chat. Thanks for keeping it clean and tidy in there and staying on topic for the most part. Really appreciate you guys jumping in and sharing and just interacting with us leaders as we do this. We're going to get more of the leaders involved on these nights in these chats, and it should be good. And yeah, so that's it. That's the night. We're so glad that you could be here. I'm going to jump into Discord for a little bit, and if you guys want to chat and ask me questions, whatever, feel free to do that. We're going to close the night. How should we close the night? I don't know. Maybe just sign off. Maybe I'll sing a song. I'll write a song right now, right off the top of my head. It's been fun to go for a run in YouthTube. It's been fun just sitting here with you. This is starting to feel like a Mr. Rogers song. Yeah, we'll end it there. I'll write more as youth goes along. If you have lines that you want me to include in the ending closing credits song, write them in Discord because that's gonna be awesome. Okay. Have a good night, everybody. See you in Discord in like 27 seconds. Okay. If you're not in YouTube, not in Discord. If you're not in Discord, message me. And if you're between the grades of 7 and 12, we'll get you in there. I had someone message while we were talking about this, message and ask if they could be in YouTube. No, not YouTube. Stop saying that, Stefan. And be in the Discord server if they're not in grade 7 yet. Your time is coming. Okay, how we break up youth is the summer before that you're allowed to come to youth group. This is all virtual and digital, so it hardly even matters. But the summer that you're moving into grade 7, you're actually invited into youth stuff. So I have to recheck my date. I'll get that date for you guys next week. That 6th graders can actually move into being official youth members before they're in 7th grade. Okay? It's coming. It's not too far away. Hang tight because you can get in here. You're super lucky that you get to take part in YouthTube. So that's coming. Okay, I'll see you guys in Discord if you want. See you guys.